The views and opinions expressed by guests on the TWBC podcast are solely those of the guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of, nor constitute an endorsement by the host, TWBC, or the advertisers.
National championships, Confederation championships, World championships, major professional events. For over 3 decades, he has been there for many of the sport's greatest moments. And now he brings you even closer to the movers and shakers in the world of high-echelon tournament water skiing. From the founder and creator of the Water Ski Broadcasting Company comes the TWBC Podcast. And now here's your host, Tony Lightfoot.
And yes, indeed, that is me, the aforementioned Tony Lightfoot, and this is the TWBC Podcast, and great to have you on board. Coming to you from Hilltop Lake, which will provide the setting for the Syndicate Hilltop Pro, and one of the good folks that will be skiing in this competition, rather surprisingly for a number of reasons, is a good friend of mine from Australia. It is Nick Adams. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, Tony. Good to be here, buddy. I'm good. Good.
So, you are currently the Australian National Slalom Champion, so a little birdie tells me.
Yeah. It was a big year considering everything that's been going on. It's been a big year down south, and it was a big weekend over Easter at the National Championships down there.
Yeah, that was done via runoff, wasn't it, between you and Joel Halley, yeah?
No, Jack Christie.
Jack Christie, yeah.
Correction. Yeah. No, it was a great event for everyone. I think it was, as much as anything, I think people were pretty excited to be there because we'd had the previous nationals cancelled due to COVID. So having everyone back in the same place and coming together for the sport we love was pretty special for a lot of people. And then it just topped it off that we had that Open Men's Slalom final work out how it did. So we had a tie at the end and a runoff for the win.
All right then. Well, tell us what's happening for you here and now, because it's a bit of a struggle getting in and out of Australia. To go anywhere. You managed to get the exemption to an athlete's exemption to be here. So give us an idea of what that ordeal is like for the folks that don't really know. Yeah,
I mean, it was a combination of a few things to apply to get out. Once I was given exemption, by all accounts, it sounds like the exemption is more for your chance to get back into Australia as opposed to getting out. It is the whole scenario is painfully slow and tough to get out. But now that I'm out, I'm happy to be here. But it took a lot of rigmarole to go through the process to get out, and I had to apply fairly ahead of time to be able to come. But I'm just very, very happy with the circumstance to be able to get let out at the timing I did. I'm a bit late for the season of how I would have liked to. I would have liked to have been here a lot earlier, but we're here now, and I'm happy to be here and try and make the most of the rest of the season that's left here.
All right then. So you tell of the struggles to get here. I mean, you've obviously been practicing a fair amount in Australia to prepare for an event of this. I mean, what are the opportunities like for someone like you, or for Joel Halley, or for Jack Christie, or anyone else to ski right now? Because everything's up in the air. I mean, there is no one entity and no one thing that the pandemic has not touched in the world. But with such an isolated place as Australia is compared to a lot of other places across the world, I mean, where have you had the time? Where have you had the opportunity to practice? And that kind of stuff.
I mean, yeah, that's the strange thing too. I mean, like you said, it hasn't not touched anyone, this pandemic, and how it's affected everyone's lives. For me, it was just it's a tough gig because it's the middle of winter over there as well. The shocking thing is how different the countries deal with the pandemic. There's a lot more of a lockdown situation over there, and it varies state to state depending on your premier, sort of like your governor for each state over there.
I sense a political...
No, we're not going there. But as much as anything, it was jarring to come over here and find out how different it is that people are approaching it. And obviously it affects my skiing and the ability to be able to train depending on where I've been. I've been pretty lucky before I left. I mean, like I said, fresh out of winter, so it wasn't exactly easy to train or to get skiing in prior to leaving. But I was lucky I was able to get up to the north of Australia where I've trained a lot over the winter. Like previous years, like last year when I knew I wasn't going to get out of the country, I went up to the top of Australia to Darwin to be able to train. So I'm very lucky that I have the people I'm close with up there.
They actually have skiing up in the Northern Territory?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No. What are you worried about, Tony? A little croc or something? Or what? No. The site that we ski on, there's none of that. It's a beautiful site. We've actually held nationals there before. It's a beautiful spot down up there at Berry Springs, or down here from here. Okay. So yeah, lucky enough that I was there, and then over at Ski North up in Cairns to train a little bit. It's a beautiful new site we've got up in the northeast of Australia, up in Cairns, just south of the city. So if you're ever in Australia, guys, anyone that's out there, when this is all over, to be able to go there and check it out. It's a beautiful site. But yeah, so I was a little bit there before I came over, but really not as much skiing as I would have liked, Tony. It's definitely feeling like a bit underdone going into this, but we're here now, and I'm really, really happy to be here and competing and representing this beautiful tournament, and it's a beautiful site, as you can see.
So the main message here from that little spiel is that there's more to skiing in Australia than just New South Wales and Victoria and Western Australia.
Definitely.
It's definitely more spread around.
Yeah, I mean it's a national pastime. This is it's really a sport that Australia holds close, and there's definitely, I think it's the same in the States though, in that there are little pockets that you wouldn't expect, that you go, oh, there's actually a real sense of community in terms of the skiing in this part of the country that you just never expect.
All right then, yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to the day that I travel down.
Get over there.
I've never been to Australia. It's one of my ambitions.
Not yet, Tony.
Not quite yet at the moment. I mean, because for the most part, they're saying that any travel in and out of Australia can't really begin to get back to normal until good part of next year.
Yeah,
right?
they're talking late next year, and who knows? Like anything else with this, it could change at the toss of a coin. It's just wild.
So far as international skiing is concerned, the fortunate few that are actually able to get out, or more to the point, be able to get out and have the opportunity to get back in.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that pan out? Are you going to be skiing in the Worlds coming up in October?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a big push as to why I wanted to try and get here when I did, just because the opportunity to compete at a 5th World Championships was huge for me and important to me. So it was always in the back of my mind that I would start the process early to try and get over. Obviously, to compete at events such as this, but Worlds is, they don't come around that often, and your window to be able to compete at them at the highest level is small, So I wanted to try and make the most of that, and lucky enough I'll be here through. And I would think in terms of, if you're asking about when I'm heading back or whatever, I'd like to be back there in time for the summer. So my plan is to go back not too long after Worlds, but at this stage, it looks like I'm good to get back, but it's still the 2-week quarantine deal. You pay for the hotel, and you're in that lockdown in the room for 14 days, so it's going to be pretty brutal, but the price you pay, Tony.
Yeah, so I mean, what's the general plan going into the World Championships? I mean, the Worlds is going to be about midpoint of October, so you, for example, would have... I mean, anyone travelling from Australia to be there immediately before the Worlds has got to quarantine like 2 weeks.
Not to leave, only to go back.
Only to go back.
Yeah,
okay.
Only to go back. You go back to quarantine. The only requirements in terms of COVID like that, I think it depends what country you're heading to, but to come over here, you just need proof of a negative test 72 hours within your flight, and I think that's a lot of the international flights at the moment.
So, does Australia believe that the United States is high risk?
I think Australia thinks every country is high risk right now. So, I mean, you look on, they have a website for Smart Traveller as to where you're allowed to travel or whatever, and they'll say if there's something going on in the world, do not travel. Well, the whole list right now says do not travel. So, yeah, not one place more than the other. It's just Australia is pretty much of the concern of no one goes out, no one goes in as a general rule, So I feel very, very fortunate to be able to get out and to be able to do what I do,
All right, then. So, What do you do work-wise these days? Because obviously you can't sustain yourself skiing so much. But I mean, you've dabbled a little bit of modelling and all that kind of stuff in recent years. So
I don't know. That was a little while ago now. I'm pretty lucky in the fact that, you know, in terms of the ski world and the people that I have and the sponsors that I have behind me, that I've been able to sustain my life through that. I do a lot of coaching when I'm in Australia. I have a full-time place over there that people come train with me there.
Okay.
So during the summers over there, I'm very much either on the road for clinics or people come ski with me on that border of Victoria and New South Wales. So between that and, like I said, the people behind me and the sponsors I have, I've been pretty fortunate to be able to do what I love.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people don't realise how large Australia is. I mean, you can actually fit on the entire United States within the bounds of Australia, pretty much.
Yeah, the width, I think, is pretty similar in terms of the width of the country, of the island of Australia versus the States. But the biggest difference is, Tony, you can't live in majority of that. The middle is desert, you know, whereas the US, you could drive all the way through and live
try living in Uluru and
exactly.
getting what you want done.
Nah, it's a totally different landscape, but it is, it is vast and it is rugged in places, but we've got, a really strong ski community over there, and I'm very, very lucky to have, the people I have behind me, both there and internationally, to be able to help me live out my dreams.
All right, kind of describe a little bit of the sensation of you landing from Australia into the United States, because obviously it's been a while since you've been in the United States, taking in the fresh air of the northwest of Australia,
the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. I mean, it was. I went to Florida first for a few days before I came here, so I'm a bit of a jet lag whirl at the moment. It's and my body does not know what time zone it's in. But it's just, as much as anything, it was get back and get on the water. I'm really feeling like I needed to train and get out of winter mode and get skiing and get behind what I need to do and focus really in on that tournament mode. Usually I will come over a lot earlier in the season here and have some training behind me in Florida prior to any events that I go in, whereas this is just fresh off the plane, get going, So it is good. As much as anything, I knew that it was sort of a bit of trial by fire as to getting over here and getting skiing and going straight into tournament mode, is that I knew it would bring me up to pace. You sort of lift to needing to ski at these events. So as much as anything, I'm looking at the next couple of tournaments as let's get into this and let's get back on track. Like we said earlier, got Worlds coming up, so I want to really prepare for that.
Excellent stuff. And you're here at the Syndicate Hilltop
That's
program.
Right.
You are a Syndicate skier.
I am, and it's I mean, the fact that this has been the event it's been, the people behind this, obviously within the HO, within the company, it's really expanded as it's gone. Every year seems to get a little bit better with how this tournament has evolved, and the people behind it, the people starting to come to it, and just the way it's run. It's seamless. Gordon and the guys that run this tournament from the side, it's just, you'll find out this weekend, Tony. I mean, it is a beautiful spot, and it is a really well-run tournament.
Yeah, I was here last year for the first time,
Okay.
I just couldn't, I look around and see how green that grass is, I mean, and like the wooded surround,
Yep.
It does.
Pristine.
I mean, the wind blows north and south here, but it very rarely creates much more than a ripple on the water.
Yeah, and you know what's the interesting thing about this site? I mean, I've skied at a lot of ski lakes, and it is the only site I go to where you get off the highway, you drive up here, and that's the exact thing. You drive up to get to the lake. I don't know any other tournament site that you drive up to get to the site. It's always down into a quarry or a valley or something. It's the only place you drive up to.
Yeah. Most of those sites, you're in a little dip. And all
something.
It's kind of like dug out of the ground at the lowest possible level to the water table.
Exactly, have the water, yeah.
All right, then.
So,
you're at this tournament. You just come off you've barely just gotten off the water,
Fresh off the boat,
having practiced.
Oh yeah, I just got it. I'm still wet.
You're still, okay. And my apologies for that. But so, what kind of? I mean, taking into account what you've done in practice and how you prepare for this, Florida or what have you. I mean, what kind of score is generally in the realm of being satisfied?
Oof. satisfied. I'm a slalom skier, Tony. I don't know the meaning of that word. I mean, it's one of those never-ending things. A tournament like this, you know as well as anyone, if you don't run your 10.7, so you're 39, you're not in that race to be able to make in those finals, let alone having a chance of podium or whatever else. You know, you need to be, the way things are going with the sport and the level that guys are competing at now, you need to be turning that 2 ball. You need to be moving down that 10.2 if you're in with a shot of any sort of podium gig.
All right then. So we're going to wrap this up around about here. I mean, obviously you've got friends, you've got supporters.
Yeah.
They'll probably be watching you on the webcast,
on the web and live. Yeah, there's a lot of people coming out to this event. It sounds like this weekend. So I'm pumped to see everyone. It's been a while. You know, it's been 2 years since I've seen a lot of these people. So even some of the guys I'm skiing with, I'm really excited to see.
Excellent stuff. So, all right then, we'll round that off. You've been listening to Nick Adams. My name is Tony Leifert, and until the next episode of the TWBC podcast, I bid you farewell. The views and opinions expressed.
Thank you for listening to the TWBC podcast. Be sure to check out our website at waterskibroadcasting.com. Links to our presence on major social media platforms can be found there, as well as updates to our webcast and this podcast. Duplication or rebroadcasting of this broadcast without written consent of TWBC is prohibited. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform and be sure to join us next time for the next edition of the TWBC Podcast.